Oh, no, like, you gotta start the meeting with.
Oh, go ahead.
Are we ready?
We're rolling.
Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Tuesday, June 19th, 2012 Petaluma Community Access Board of Directors meeting. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Thomas.
Here.
Adams.
Here.
Pearson.
Here.
Guy. Davies.
Here.
Fishman. Williamson.
Here.
Bertucci.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Is there anyone here tonight to speak at public comment?
Yes.
Okay, you wanna?
I'm George Atrella. I'm the random artist. Been a member of PCA since 2002, almost 10 years now. When I started, it was about 15 to 20 radio shows going every day, one after the other. We were fighting to get into the radio station.
Yes.
Now, there's only 2. I decided to cancel my membership last year because every single time I did my show, there was some issue. Doesn't matter if it was audio, visual, it's just delayed, some stuff wasn't working, it was cutting out, but every single time I have an issue, nobody has an answer to it. I canceled my membership because I thought because you guys moved to a different spot, you guys were gonna work out the kinks. Everything was fine. I left for a year. I came back a month ago. It was worse than I left. So I am tired of telling people, listen to my show, come and blah, 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 publicizing for you guys, talking about join, come and do this and do this, and you know, you can do this. But there's no support. I don't know where he's going, but I would like to talk to everybody.
No, I'm sorry, I just wanted to ask the kids.
Thank you. But I am living right now. Because right now, there's no point of telling anybody, listen in, tune in, you know, listen to what we do, but you know, come and join. For what? Like every time I ask a question, nobody has an answer. I go and, hey, something's going on here, what's the deal? My show, the last show I did was Friday. And it went off the air in the middle of the show. Nobody had a clue what happened. I came back on Friday thinking they were going to look at it. Oh well, the guy from that was supposed to have a show on Thursday didn't come in, so I don't know if it's going to be fixed. That is not a solid answer. That is not an answer I want to hear from someone that works at PCA. I'm sorry, but every single time, oh, I'm going to call Zach. Oh, I'm going to call Zach. I'm gonna call Zach, I'm gonna call Zach, I'm gonna call Zach. Zach never calls back anybody. Anytime I've left a message, ever had a problem, nothing. So, from what I saw for 10 years ago, and what is going on right now, it's night and day, and I don't know what you guys are doing. It's okay, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. It's okay.
So, let me ask you just to make sure I have it clearly. It seems like you have a number of different problems here. It sounds like you have personnel problems. When you try to ask somebody a question, you're not getting the response that you need. It sounds like you're having technical problems in that you're trying to put a show on and every single time there's something that happens that is incorrect. And then it sounds like there's some sort of process problem, whatever that is, which is just the way of putting something on and the constant, just a set of process and procedures are not there.
Right.
So you're having problems in all these three areas. Is that correct?
Exactly. So it's just frustrating for someone that wants to. I'm a photographer. I'm an artist. I'm a DJ. I'm the random artist. That's what I call myself.
That's good.
I like to. The reason I joined PCA is to show what we can do.
Right.
Like I fell in love with the city when I moved here 10 years ago. That's why I do it. That's why I want to do it.
Right.
But when I go to do it and they can't,
Right.
I'm sorry, but it just takes all the effort.
Right.
You know, and I know a lot of people come up to me and say, hey, when are you doing the show back? I missed that show. And I'm not throwing flowers on myself.
No, it's your show.
But I know there's a lot of different people that do different stuff, and I loved it. Back in the day, you could turn on the TV and be like, screw NBC, CBS, you know, prime time. I'm watching PCA. That's what I liked about it. I can't say that now. So I'm asking you guys to do something about it, so we can do our thing. So we, as an artist or as talent or as whatever, like I came on TV the other day. It's a water fountain with a bird bath. I mean, am I missing something? I mean, we have so much stuff going on in this town that we need to take advantage of, and we're not.
Wow.
We have endless talent
I'm gonna be dead.
waiting for it, and it's not happening.
Wow.
So I decided to come here today to tell you that, to tell you all you guys that, because I mean, I feel bad trying to, like, I can't really go off at them because they're not properly trained. They don't have the certain person, you know, anybody that would, you know, that would teach them properly. They're, you know, it's like they're not on the same page per se. So
I just had a, just for clarity, I thought you mentioned radio. Is this radio or TV?
both. I used to do TV shows too.
So when you're having trouble with TV, what is the?
Well, TV meaning like sometimes the screen doesn't show, or sometimes the audio doesn't work, and
You're not a program that you submit?
no. Like sometimes it used to be like, for me, like programming from someone else. Sometimes I just have an issue with like some of the stuff you guys are airing, like who approves it. It's like the other day I saw
that
people in Oakland.
it sounds like your issues with TV is as a viewer.
That's
rather
one
than
of
a
my issues.
producer. Okay.
One of my issues, and as a producer, it's like that's why I'm like I much rather see stuff being made here in town than like Oakland, and they're at a party like getting drunk and like that's, who cares about that? I'm sorry, but I want to see what's going on here in Petaluma. Not
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, just to counterpoint that, I mean,
Yeah.
I watch PCA as well, and there are a lot of locally produced shows.
Yes, I know that.
There's-
It's
And fundamentally, of course, the mission of PCA is to show what the public gives us with minimal censorship. We don't want to go in and start being
right.
the taste police and decide, oh, this is.
I'm
you
not
know,
saying that.
I'm just saying that that's the other side of the coin in terms of controlling what gets aired.
Right,
But let's, to get back to your point, let's break down. So content is one of the things, but I think the first issue is around things that you've been wanting to do that haven't happened correctly. And so I guess the first thing I wanted to find out is, John, have you, any of this been brought to your attention?
Oh, yeah.
thus
Yeah, I
far?
know George. And George,
Okay.
I'm really sorry.
No, it's okay.
Because we've been struggling with that radio. To be clear with you, you're missing something.
Okay.
We use our TV channels for radio shows. We put up a
Gotcha.
card and it's audio and it's
Okay.
the only live access we have.
I got you. So a live TV broadcast,
Right.
effectively.
Yeah. And what we're suffering with, and we've been suffering it since the days of Lorena,
Mhm.
is connectivity with City Hall.
I got
It
you.
breaks off on us. When we had the radio at Casa Grande, we were plugged right into the server, it went right to Comcast.
Right.
We had the wires in the building. Now we have to go through DSL to City Hall.
Right.
And we used to have a laptop in there that would shut off,
Right.
and we couldn't get it on because, you know, on Friday night, City Hall's closed, we can't get in there. You're not the only one who's bumped into this recently. We've had two, this is the second complaint about the radio. I've been toying with the idea for the last few months that we should shut it down. That we just can't deliver what we're promising with that piece of equipment.
Well, what would it take for us to deliver?
Right.
Um,
Purchasing new
Well, that's
equipment.
the other thing. Zach is not ignoring this problem. He goes in, he sets it up, it works. He doesn't know why it stops to work. And the other staff aren't, well, Van could do it. Van and Zach could do it. But when they're out of the office, there's nobody there to reboot it or correct it. I've been in there at times when it's not working. We have about 6 people doing radio now.
Okay.
And the others kind of, you know, they come and go. I mean, they don't,
That's funny.
they live with the limitations of the radio. If they were complaining too, then I would absolutely shut it down. But right now I'm in a position, if I shut it down, those 4 others are going to.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for coming in and bringing this to the attention of the board, because even though we knew that there were problems with the radio, it really helps to hear it firsthand
Right.
and from someone who is experiencing
Mhm.
those problems, and I really appreciate it, and I think I speak for the whole board when I say that. You know, and I think the fact that you're here suggests that there really is a need and a desire to have great radio at
Yeah, of
PCA.
course. And we used, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not to cut you off. When I joined PCA 10 years ago, I did a show with Luis Hernandez
Mhm.
and Tillman.
Yeah,
We used to have a show, P-Town Live.
Yeah.
We actually plugged into the computers online,
Uh-huh.
and used to have listeners on Houston, in New York,
Wow.
and in China, Germany.
Uh-huh.
We had all over, because we tapped into that market. Somehow, LA was the genius behind the whole thing, but we had quality TV. But because of the president of the board or or whoever was running PC at the time, didn't like what we were doing or had an issue with it.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's all politics.
Mhm.
You know,
Right.
but we know we can do it. We know we if you build it, we'll
Right.
go there. See what I'm saying?
Sure.
You know, but I just think I don't think shutting it down is an option. I think that we need to just
Figure out.
figure it out what we can do, because I know it could be better. I've been always telling you, try to get online, like try to get like webcam, podcast, whatever. So because Facebook is very, very useful if you use it the right way. You know, because I can advertise. I have as an artist, I have friends all over the world. And when I put, Petaluma only, sorry guys, can't listen to my show tonight. You know, a lot of people say, oh, where's the link, where's the link, where's the link? And I always say, it's coming, I always hear about it, blah, 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 but it never made it. So I think if we put an online tap into the radio, we have something there.
Can I ask what, if you have any suggestions of particular places you think that would be better carried?
Meaning what?
Like, there's several online.
We can do
streaming
podcasts. I mean,
We can do podcasts
We can do
or-
podcasting. We can do just. I mean, even with Skype.
Well, I just wanted to ask and see if, like I said, you know, there's different radio apps and iTunes Radio and that kind
Right.
of stuff.
I mean,
like that.
I can find out a better.
If there's something that you'd like to suggest that we look into.
Yeah, for sure.
And the
For us
second
to
thing
look
I wanted to ask, or at least maybe invite for you to have some input into, is one of the things
Okay.
that we're exploring now is applying for a low
Okay.
power FM radio station license.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
And I
can
would
do
love to have some member support and saying, as we're developing this, to apply,
that. Okay.
pending the FCC opens the window, of
Right.
what type of things would you need to make a successful show?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I would, I second that, and I would
Okay.
love to bring Tillman in too.
Yeah, I mean, Tillman and it's the thing about our show wasn't like the typical, you know, outrageous show, which is whatever happened, you know. That's the whole beauty of it. And a lot of people tuned in. A lot of people knew it. Still to this day, 10 years ago when I did it, come up to me and go, I remember you from that show.
And
You
so if we get an FM station, I think the goal is that we move it off of the TV channels.
Exactly.
But it doesn't mean we wouldn't plug it on the TV channels. But yeah,
Or
I think,
we could stream the FM.
yeah.
We
But I
can
mean, I
do it
think
both at the same time, like we used to do it.
we weren't doing that streaming. We weren't pursuing that, and that doesn't mean that's not a really easy thing we couldn't discuss.
Someday,
I appreciate your
someday it's on.
passionate plea for it, and.
Thank you.
Because I've been toying with this idea for the last 4 or 5 months, that it was just a headache. The staff time to devote to solving the problem was just not there. It was a problem brewing, and here we get.
It blew up. I mean, I showed up and they said, I said, is it fixed? I was like, well, the guy that came up didn't come in on Thursday, so we didn't know if it was fixed or not. So that was the tip of the answer for me. So it's just.
How long ago did you leave a message for Zach? Just curious.
I mean, the radio show stopped working halfway through the show on not this Friday, but the Friday before. And the guy that was working there, I don't know what his name is.
Adonai?
Ed.
Adonai?
I think.
Yeah,
I don't know.
At the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he said, oh yeah, I'll leave Zach a note. I'll get back to you. That's normal procedure. It's like, totally fine. Don't even worry about it. But then didn't get a phone call. Then you know, I forgot to call, should have called, you know, and today I called just to see if he fixed it. And it's Tuesday, and it's still not fixed.
It's possible he's still troubleshooting it, is that what you
Well,
said you said?
he's frustrated because he has fixed it a number of times and it starts and he goes off, he's done with his shift. Ed and I has no technical experience and it goes down in the middle of the show.
Well, I'm pretty sure he hates me right now.
No, nobody hates him.
I mean, it sounds like a
No.
couple things, more troubleshooting to figure out what's going on, but also having at least another person that's maybe trained to deal with it if Zach's not around. I don't know.
Yeah,
We're not gonna come up with answers necessarily
Right.
now, but I'm just throwing out some.
Zach has shifted his attention and he's really invested in low powered FM.
Yeah,
Because that for him would be a way to solve it correctly.
right.
The other thing is we've looked into wireless connection to the city hall instead of going through DSL. I'll take it back to Zach and we'll.
Okay.
But your plea not to cancel it has been heard.
Thank you.
So we'll work on it and I'd love to create a work team.
Yeah, I
And a
mean,
brainstorm.
I mean, I like promoting for this stuff, for PCA. I like, you know, every show I throw it in there. It's like, you know, you don't have to, you know, you don't have to be, you know, colorful and, you know, just you have an idea. This is the place to do it. This is the venue. So that's what.
Well, thank you and bear with us and I mean, now that it's come to our attention, we'll also, you know, put our resources together to see what we can do to fix it. Because I think radio is an incredibly important part of the PCA.
It is. It is.
And
It really is.
I would hate to see it go, and I want to see it working well for everyone. That's it. We're all on the same page in terms of what
It
we
is my
want done
therapy
here.
too. It is therapy.
All
But
right.
I thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
George.
Really, thank you.
George, could I have
Yes,
your
ma'am.
last name?
Utrilla, Utrilla.
Thank you.
Do we have George's email address, so,
It's in the database. We've still
Yeah.
got one of George's pictures
if-
on our wall.
yeah.
Yes,
We'll be fixing that.
big
real
sir.
quick.
Yeah, I think well, who's on the FM committee?
I am.
And I am, and
The next communication that goes out, would somebody make sure that his email address is part of that? Invite to the next meeting or whatever?
Would you mind just concluding the
No, yeah,
conversation?
I would. Yeah, would love to be a
We
part
would
of
love
it.
you to be
Because,
part of
I
the
mean,
conversation.
I can definitely bring some more people in,
Uh-huh.
and that definitely would do some quality radio,
Well, if we
quality
could
TV.
start with you as being a subject matter expert in, you know,
Yeah,
Thank you.
being the.
Thank you. I mean,
yeah.
thank you. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Do we know that we have his current email address?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be.
Perfect.
Give it to you if you want.
You're the expert, we're the facilitators.
Random?
Random artist. 428 at Yahoo.
Great.
Love your
Thanks.
t-shirt, by the way.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. I'm gonna let you guys be. do your day.
Well, you're welcome to
Yeah,
stay.
yeah, but
You're welcome to stay
Yeah,
if you'd
I'll
like.
sit around.
it gets more boring.
You can applaud and everything.
Right, all right, cool. Standing ovation for
So,
you guys.
Or you could apply to
maybe
sit
get
on this side of the
nominated.
table next
How
week.
do I apply for to be on the table?
Oh.
Oh, so easily.
It's like, come on in, there's one right there.
Eric, you got his email address, right?
Yeah, yeah. If you'd be interested to be on the board, it's a fantastic time because we have elections in September and we have some board turnover. We're always looking for people.
September I get married, and the whole month is.
Oh, well, October is fine too.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you wouldn't actually need to attend on
Yeah,
this
yeah,
side
right, right.
until October.
Oh,
but
okay.
The election is in September, that's
Well,
just
yeah,
something.
I'll put my name in there.
Oh, that'd be
Okay.
wonderful. We would
Great.
absolutely
Yeah,
be
'cause I would
thrilled
love
to
to
have
do
you on here.
something,
And you could, you know, there's lots to be done and there's a lot, you know, like all these problems that you're suggesting.
Mhm.
This is a great place. From this position, you can really
Okay.
make sure that happens. So
Okay.
fantastic.
I will. I will
And you're already an
definitely-
ambassador for PC.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We would love to have you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay,
And
perfect.
John, if I just may follow up on one of George's comments, that, I mean, I think the thing that disturbed me the most, in addition to the technical problems, which I understand that I think should be solved and can be solved, because every technical problem, you know, like this can be solved, but the whole customer service
Yeah.
aspect of this, you know, it's like if someone calls and says, I have a problem, someone's gonna call me back, that call should happen within 24 hours, I don't care how busy people are, That just should be policy of the station, that you know, our members are our customers, and everything we do is to take care of them from you know, from the very beginning. So, I mean, I know that you feel the same way too. So we're just wondering if there's a way to inculcate that a little into the process and procedures that you, you know, deal with the employees.
Yeah.
I just had a thought, and I don't know if it's been discussed at all, and I apologize, it's sort of off the cuff, but have you ever explored maybe doing like a ticket system for people of responses and trying to figure out what's been closed, what's been discussed, what we promised, and why
Who's got
where it's at?
Well, we have bi-weekly staff meetings where the issues come back for reports.
He means they
Means
get
an
logged.
electronic.
He means like a customer ticket, like you would if you call up customer service, you know, like, here's the ticket, and if we can't solve this problem within 24 hours, it gets escalated to like a B-level, you know, team or something, and then the A-level team, and so that at some point, when the problem gets solved, there's increasing resources poured into it.
And you can look and see what's still remaining. We could also look and see track history about maybe whether it's a piece of equipment that's
Right.
continuing to be problematic, and classify things both as, you know, customer service / equipment / you know. We're doing that at my job, and sometimes it's the only way to manage the hundreds of things that can happen a week. And then you can also see the things that fell off the,
Good chart.
well, between 5 campuses, and it can be.
Yeah.
Is that all?
You've got all these techies that can help you.
But I'm just sort of thinking,
There
There
are
are
the
some,
system.
it
there's
might be
some,
something to discuss there and investigate, and we could do it all like an online hosted service.
Yeah, there's
Do you
a
have any
bunch of
angle on
free
any
ones
online
that do.
freebies?
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
So there you go. Jason's got a line on some online, it's called help desk software. I can give you the expensive one.
No, I know, I can't remember the name of it, but we used one at the last company that I worked for.
GOOGLE. .com.
And it would also be a good thing in case someone gets sick or someone's gone for an extended period, just to see what's left on their plate, or needs to
Right.
fall through on.
Well, that's the advantage, is you can have multiple agents actually monitoring what is getting resolved and what's not. And also, there's a way, in the system that I used to use, there's a way to check in so that you're not being redundant, so that people understand when a problem's been addressed. And it's good for tracking.
To get back to the radio, I can't tell you how many staff hours have been poured into
Yeah.
that. It's just, we constantly fix it, and it constantly goes.
Okay, you know, not at the risk of running this really long, but when Zach fixes it, what does he do to fix it? What does he find, what does it turn out that's wrong?
Reconfiguring the computer, it's,
The one at City Hall?
yeah, I don't know the technical stuff, I trust them. It's, the connectivity is insecure.
Flaky.
Flaky.
Yeah,
What
DSL's got
about-
really flaky the last 12 months.
I'll talk later with him, but there's some dedicated data, radio transmitting, receiving stuff, and we're trying to find it, you know, see if we can eBay one, or even, you know, the new ones are expensive, but yeah, I've used them for professional events where I'm sending major
Yeah, I
network
think,
stations.
you know, we can throw money at it and get better equipment. That would be an easy way to, I mean, that would be a breakthrough. So we're trying to piece it together.
You got my
Yeah.
vote. I second that.
Well, you're not on the board.
I'm practicing. I'm practicing.
You gotta win the election,
There
buddy.
you go.
But if you just sign here.
Right.
I'll give you a pointer.
I gotta practice.
Yeah, go,
Actually,
but,
we could, but it's not on the agenda.
well, all
But I
right.
mean, I can throw some things at them if they're ready for that. Hardware solutions that are configured.
Because let's just, I mean, and I, you know, let's not spend too much time, but like the low-powered FM, you know, what is the calendar for that right now? I mean, if things.
Well,
Wait,
there's-
it's on the agenda.
Yeah,
No,
let's
but I'm
get-
talking about swimmingly, like if everything goes as planned, when would that actually go
The
live?
application is due, I believe, in August.
I think we need to deal with this when the agenda item comes.
Okay, all right, fine.
That'd be good. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, can we move on to board director comments? Is there any? Have you guys spoken enough?
Ooh, pale by
Okay.
comparison.
Well, Matt
All
has
right,
one.
Matt.
Well, I just thought I'd announce that we've had a very successful couple events over at Santa Rosa Junior College lately. So soon, hopefully in the next week or two, we'll get to PCA to air copies of our graduation this year, convention ceremonies. We're also working on we recently did a presentation on the state of the Petaluma campus, so we'll be airing that soon. So you'll see we'll have a discussion on how the Petaluma campus has contributed to Petaluma and Southern Sonoma County. And hopefully get that on the air in about a week or two.
Super. Looking forward to it.
My shameless plug for that.
Yeah.
Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, I would say that at City Hall, we're improving the means by which citizens and people can view meetings. We successfully, actually Zach plugged this one in. We ran a line to connect the projector right into the mixer, and it looks a lot better than it has before. We'll be featuring that in the Technology Committee meetings with our App of the Month. And Jason's App of the Month. And second, we've just replaced the encoder, so we'll be looking at doing high definition in H.264 for those of us with droids
Nice.
and alternatives to Flash. That was also Jason's idea. I mean, for your bid.
Thanks.
You're blushing.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, totally different, but it just dawned on me the other day, I've been taking my kids to these movies in the park at Lucchese. And I know some of the organizers that are involved in that. And one of the things I was asked was, what could you suggest for something before the big movie? Something kind of entertainment. We had a band last week. What do you think? And it just dawned on me, what better place to showcase community videos than right before a big screen movie at Lucchese Park. So I haven't done anything with this idea, but it just seems like a neat concept, and I don't know how we would decide whose show gets picked, but it's an incredible exposure opportunity. It would probably help draw more people to the event. I mean, who doesn't want to see their own community on a big screen in a park like that at night? So anyway, just a concept. I didn't add it to the agenda or anything, but I kind of like the idea and just wanted to throw it out there, see what anyone else
I
thought.
think it's a great idea. Great.
And maybe a warm-up to the Luminarian Award or something.
Right.
But there's a ton of people. I mean, I was there this last Friday, and it was pretty packed. And they're just sitting there waiting for the movie to start. And instead of looking at a big thing that's static and says movies in the park, stay tuned.
Show Luminarium.
We could show. I mean, we could just kick it off by that. Just show
Pre-show.
clips of.
Yeah, pre-show,
Yeah.
right.
Pre-show.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I thought it was a
Coming.
good idea for leveraging the bodies they're already bringing there to promote PCA, but also give the community something of a little bonus to potentially see their own show there.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
Super.
You could tape for us there too.
Yeah, I mean it could be a whole thing. I mean, if I'm going there anyway.
Sign up,
Sell
sign up
cookies
members,
and-
take
and-
Yeah, absolutely.
contributions, yeah.
Absolutely.
You can sell refrigerator magnets.
That too.
I got some.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Give them away.
No, I mean, think about it. We
No, I meant
we
tabling.
paid, to be in a parade, and it was great. But this is a weekly event over the summer, and it's attracting a lot of people, and they would have no problem with us having. I mean, they're wanting more stuff. They're like,
Right.
what can we have here, for a pre-show festivity? Because what happens is people show up hours before the event.
Right.
They don't start the movie till it's dark. So people start getting there at like 6:30 or something. They're sitting there, they're eating, it's fun and everything, but there could easily be.
They have live music.
They do some live music, yeah. And the only other thing, not to undermine it, but the reality is the movies don't start till 9 because they have to wait till it gets dark. So
Yeah.
that cushion, I don't know how long, and I wouldn't want to push the main event too late. But even if it's just little clips,
Yeah.
maybe 10 minutes before the movie, something like that. Anyway,
That's
just
a great
Great
idea.
idea.
I like that.
Yeah. Okay, any other comments? All right, agenda approval. Can we get a motion to approve the agenda unless there's any,
I so move.
A second.
okay, we're sure there's no changes? Sorry, Matt. Oh, Matt, there's a motion on the floor. Do you have any changes to the agenda?
Additions? No.
Okay, thanks. All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay. Approval of the minutes for the May 15th, 2012 meeting. Those were sent to you. Unless there's any changes, can we get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Who
Aye.
seconded?
All right.
Who seconded?
Eric.
Eric did.
Thank you.
Okay. Treasurer's report, Matt, please.
Treasurer's report. Well, John sent it out to me, and I appreciate that. We have money. I don't know, we didn't receive any new checks this month. Everything came in last month. Am I correct, John?
Yes.
So, I am happy to see that our assets continue to sort of being increased conservatively. Of course, we're at the beginning of the quarter, so there's a lot more money, $138,000 in the bank. But that will come down a little bit as you go through the quarter. So it's a nice change from when I started a couple years ago. So
Couple of years, really?
it's been 2 years, 3 years, 3 years now. This is 3 years in October. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any questions, anyone? Okay. Executive Director's report, please. Thank you, Matt.
Thank
John?
you.
Okay, yes, we are at the end of the fiscal year. I wanted to congratulate everybody. It's been a very calm year. Even our complaint was very calmly delivered. We've got a staff that's been in place for a year. The youngest one has been there about a year. Zach's been there for 5. And I just wanted to thank the board for shaping this PCA, and every little decision we make, we've brought it closer and more solid, given it a center of gravity. I'll be starting the audit and the annual report process, and neither are due until November, but it's always confusing in November to talk about the year that ended in June, so I'm gonna start that one earlier. And part of this, I mean, it isn't on the agenda, but we've been talking about the staff party. The staff did hammer out a calendar, and August 11th is their proposition. Is that good? I just want to get it on your calendar, we can talk offline.
What was the date?
August 11th.
Is it still at the Lanai Lounge?
Yeah, the Lanai Lounge. Be wonderful.
I'm open.
Okay.
I could not do that day, but that's fine. So you can go ahead
The
with that.
venue's not booked.
I will pursue the calendars offline with email. We had an experiment with a summer video camp. We had Isaac come in with the idea. He did the work basically of setting up the curriculum and defining the idea. I got involved very deeply in a contract or an agreement relationship with him. And it was set up that it would be a $250 fee for the camp for 1 week, which is on the low end of the spectrum for summer camps, but it's just not in the PCA profile, and no one has signed up yet. We've got another month for sign-ups, so we'll see. What's good about it is we now have established a model for a guest instructor, which is something I've always dreamed about. Professionals coming in and doing a class would be a great asset. The spring sweepstakes, which were a big success, we still have 2 unclaimed prizes, and we've had 2 redrawings. And we were talking about a $20 gift certificate to Trader Joe's and a $10 gift certificate to the Aquas Cafe.
Excuse me, the Trader Joe's was picked up.
The Trader Joe's is picked
Yeah,
up?
the 2 that was not picked up was,
Oh, the ink.
oh, I'm sorry.
think it was the ink that
I'm
was
sorry, I made
picked
a
up.
mistake. Yeah,
Okay.
I take that back.
I had an issue on here, the graduation flyers. We had invested a lot of time and money in printing up inserts, half-sheet inserts that were supposed to go into the Casa Grande graduation program. And the report came back that they weren't in there. So there was some communications with Casa Grande, which was difficult because everybody's gone. They've assured me that they were in we made 2,000, and they said they used them all. They just printed up another 1,000 or 2,000 more. So there were half didn't have it, half did. That's all I can ask them to tell me, but I did say that we would like to get more involved the next year, maybe be in the program, so it's an easier punch. We've sold about a dozen DVDs, so it's not a big market anymore. $20 is a little more precious than it was back in the 90s.
Do you know last year at this time how many you had sold?
I didn't check, I could. We sold the most 2 years ago. It just seemed they just went like hotcakes. Last year, I don't think we sold many at all. And our decision this year was to get an advertisement or a plug into the brochures. We printed them up for the alternate high school. They didn't use them, but there was 100 students. That was not serious. Petaluma High recommended we put it on their website next to on their graduation page, and we did that. But most of the purchases have come from CASA. ED staff vacations. I'm leaving on Saturday for 2 weeks. I'll be out in the country, and so we'll get together in July.
Unless you want to fly to France and.
You going to France again?
I'll go on the carry-on.
So I'll be going the 25th through the 9th. Van leaves tomorrow for 4 days. Zach is going to take a week off in July 9th to the 16th. Ad and I is going to get a few days in July. Thomas, July 26th to August 1st, and Kate's looking at August 3rd to August 7th. And I just wanted to thank the board because this is brand new. I've never had staff really clock their vacations. It's all due to PTO, so thank you. And we have a new intern. I'd like to introduce Max Bricky. Max was a student in our one of our Phoenix summer classes. So he had a taste of PCA, and then he's up at Annalee High School doing a video class with Ann Humphreys, who used to work at PCA at CASA. She's a great lady. And he walked in and said, I got a summer free and I want to make video. And I want to work with people, because he's been put on solo jobs.
Great,
So.
great.
Are you a drummer?
No, but
I just see the shirt.
You need to
this is my
And we
life.
also-
Viewers, we're talking to Matt, who is on the other side of the camera. You can't see him.
Maybe you want to
Max.
walk around and smile.
Correction, there, it's Max.
Max.
Okay, not Max. So that's my report.
Sorry, Matt.
Question?
Yeah.
On the guest teacher, which is a fantastic idea, and like you, I'm really solidly in favor of making this a continual thing. Is there a promotional plan that's in place that you or Kate are working on to get people on?
We are definitely doing all the, within our capacity.
Uh-huh.
The press release went out, we've got it on the Facebook, we've got it on TV. Ultimately, it was his responsibility, that was up front, and he was gonna promote it. He did the flyer, he did the promotional material, and we would distribute it.
You did not get into the recreation brochure, though, for the summer program.
You know,
That would have been a key, because that was due.
he
a couple months
walked in
ago.
the last week of May, and then we didn't get the paperwork done until the first week of June, so we were starting it too, and he recognized it as,
That's
behind the
the
curve.
key for the summer programs.
I'll take that back to him, because we'd like to try it again.
Yeah.
Sure.
Anything you want to get in that, it's best to get in the brochure. And the cutoff is a couple of months or 3 months in advance.
I'm sure it's quite a bit.
We'll try it again. We got a very big write-up on it in the Argus.
Good.
The press release went almost intact in the middle of a big article about summer camps.
Cool.
What section was it in?
That was in community section.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else, John?
No,
Great. It's all good stuff, thank you. Okay, there's no items on the consent calendar. There's never any items on the consent calendar.
Not for a year.
Next up is the reports of committees and the executive committee. Thanks, George.
So you wanna wait for the talk about the radio station?
Oh,
It's coming up.
it's coming up, yeah.
You're not far.
I'll stay.
All right, and this will go quick. Executive committee met prior to this meeting, and there was only one item. It was a closed session item, and there was no actions on that item. Finance committee, did you meet?
We did not.
Okay, but I think we're good on that.
Nothing to do to meet on, so.
Okay. Nominating committee met tonight also. You want to give us a
That's
report on
correct,
that?
absolutely. We, the nominating committee approved the calendar for the key dates for the upcoming election, which will be posted, I'm sure, elsewhere, but I will repeat them right now. Board nominees will be announced on August 21st. The date of record for eligibility to vote is September 7th. So in other words, people have to be members of PCA on September 7th in order to vote in this year's election. Petitions and candidate statements are due September 11th, so anyone who wants to be a board member can put forth a petition and by September 11th. And what is the procedure for getting on? Is it as soon as they petition correctly, they can be
We have a board packet.
a board nominee?
We have a board packet for introducing people to the station and what it means to be a board member.
Okay.
And that's on the website.
It's on the website, we have hard copies at the office. If somebody's interested in being a member, they can come to the board and state that. The board then makes their nominations
Right.
based on who they've either approached themselves or who's approached them. If somebody else wants to run who hasn't been nominated by the board, they just need a petition with 10 signatures, then they get on the ballot as well.
Okay.
So there's two ways to get on the ballot, either being nominated by the board,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a process of introducing yourself to the board and coming to a meeting or two,
Mm-hmm.
and,
Like George did.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's very easy to become a
Very
board
easy.
member should you decide to be one. Okay, so though that petitions for and candidate statements are due September 11th. Ballots will be mailed on September 14th, and ballots are to be returned by October 4th. And all of these dates will be posted on the PCA.TV website. Is that correct, John?
Yes.
All right, great. And that's the nominee. Is that anything else, Marcel?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and I believe those are the only committees, reports that we have for tonight, unless I'm mistaken. Okay, item number 1 under old business, discussion and possible action on PCA presence at Rivertown. Rivertown Festival.
Why don't we flip these two items since
We
George
can do
is
that.
here and talk about
Okay,
it.
we'll take
Okay.
item 2 under old business first. That'd be discussion and possible action on the low power FM license. Jason?
Yes, so I met with Matt and Zach and Neil over at Dempsey's, and the bulk of the meeting honestly was focused on brainstorming locations, where we would put the transmitter and where we would have the studio. And I recommended, Zach was very interested in having, going for the optimal approach, which would be a large studio that could accommodate live musical acts. He suggested a few places that might be suitable for that. Also, there were some concerns raised. Rather than get into the specifics of the places, I'll leave it at that. But we came up with quite a list of possible environments in which the studio could be housed. I made a recommendation that we have, as part of our list of recommendations for spaces, a most modest approach as well, which would be worst case scenario if we did it at the current PCA headquarters. And that was not something Zach expressed as being ideal, but I felt it was good to have in there as an option. Some of the other things that we talked about included various educational facilities, but there were issues that were coming up in terms of access, if we wanted to have late programs and things like that. Some of the other possible locations were within existing office spaces, in spaces within those buildings that might not be used, that they could possibly be willing to donate. Again, there's the challenge when you're doing that with access and wanting to make sure that you're not disrupting business activities. So that sort of started to narrow the scope of possible locations. That said, he came up with quite a big list, actually. And yeah, and I don't know if honestly, I don't know if we want to talk about the actual sites that are listed on the list, just because, I mean, this is very much at a preliminary stage. We haven't really talked to any of these groups. So my preference would be not to really talk about the locations yet. But having said that, we have quite a big list, and they include some local businesses, they include some theaters, they also include somebody's garage, although there's a note with a laughter by that. And again, one that he was least interested, but I thought we should bear in mind was, you know, what would be the worst case scenario, have it at PCA. So that's kind of where we are right now, is going into the application. We certainly want to have our ducks in a row in terms of the location, in terms of where the transmitter is. He was not convinced, Zach, that we needed to have both the transmitter and the studio at the same location. So it was seeming that a bigger concern was, where's the studio? Where are we going to do this from? And then it sort of dovetails into, well, what kind of content are we going to produce? And if you're going to do live bands, then you obviously need to look at soundproofing, you need a certain amount of space and things like that. So what the result is he has sort of an optimum recommendation, and then you know, some other options there. So the application itself is due in August.
We're expecting it to be due in August.
We're expecting it to be. We don't even actually know.
Doesn't actually know. It's happened historically between August and October, and they don't announce when they open the window to apply. And once they do, you have 30 days to apply.
Yeah. And he's pretty convinced that we can get a lot of the equipment donated. We do potentially have capital funds, I suppose, that could be used for this purpose. I had a suggestion that we consider the possibility that we would actually have to be paying for a facility, either expanding the existing office. There's some other rationales to having a studio. I think it would be a great service for members. Often people have their own gear, or they're able to borrow a camera, but they don't have a location to shoot at, not a controlled environment. So I also think that there needs to be a good business case made for not only the radio station, but a larger studio for PCA.
Did you guys check out, do you guys know about the place that used to be the bank behind, I think it's on Liberty and East Washington, or
It's a big bank, a big empty bank.
yeah, it's an empty bank right there.
Like where the Phoenix is, 1 block west.
Yeah, exactly, right, literally right one block over from Phoenix, and I've driven by that place, Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
That place, I think, would be a great venue to put everything all at once. Like, see what I'm saying?
Have we ever listened to that, John? Last time we did a real estate.
No, we never looked at that bank.
I don't think it was for sale.
I mean, honestly, I would feel more comfortable recommending a larger investment in a larger space if we were a little further along in some other initiatives that could potentially bring more revenue to PCA, and there's a kind of a larger discussion about that. But anyway, as far as the low power FM, we're on it. We are very interested in applying. It's sort of a matter of trying to find a location where we do it, and then, as I said, I think we ought to be also planning in a worst case scenario of going forward with it within the existing space. It would limit the types of shows that we could do, but we have it.
Right.
The other two things is, you know, we would have some slight probably policy changes, because we wouldn't be following the same rules that govern our TV broadcast.
Right.
So we would be subject to the FCC's decency laws.
Right.
That would put the organization at liability if we violated those.
Mhm.
But it also provides us with the opportunity to sell advertising and do other
Exactly.
things.
Mhm.
And so maybe that might also drive some content.
Yeah, exactly.
So part of it is determining the costs, and then the other part of it is determining what type of revenue streams could be available for it. But I think most of us on the board, if not all of us, are into the idea of moving forward with it. It's just a matter of
Right.
filling out the details.
I hear you.
And if you'd like to help with that.
Yeah, I'll be more than happy to put any input I have in, helping us move forward.
If we wanted to just appoint him to the board, what do? We just have him come to next meeting? Do we really need to go through an election process for him? The last guy that got elected quit anyway, right?
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll send
He is
you,
getting married in
there's a couple
September.
things, like sheets of paper to fill out, just for functionary things.
Okay.
To get on the board, fill them out, and then if you're still interested,
Yeah.
then we will get you on in one way or another, and we'll work obviously around
Okay.
your
Is-
wedding, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Historically, the people who lose in the election get appointed the following year.
All right.
So
Sounds
if you
good.
want to get on, you can, that's not hard.
But you don't have to lose to get appointed, right? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks so much, thanks for coming again.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
All right.
Good night. So, is that it, Jason?
Yep.
Any questions, anyone?
No, thank you, that sounds very exciting.
I have a few comments.
Yeah.
Because I did talk to Zach yesterday about all of this, and I don't see moving into PCA as the worst case scenario at all, because I think the real risk here is recurring costs of
Right.
greater rent and, let me finish, greater rent and staff. Staffing is the key. If this could be a 12-hour-a-day open studio,
Yeah.
we can't staff it the way we are. We
Right.
could in our office, possibly. I think the desire to have a low-power FM license for Petaluma is valid and a real community service. Zach is really invested in it. But I think it's the kind of thing we need to link to the studio search. I mean, if we went out and got a studio, the radio would be a perfect function there. Maybe there is a larger partnership in the community that could justify a large grant or some kind of funding stream for that dream. On the other hand, having it within our office space solves a lot, and I think we might want to carry this into a discussion about our current lease that is up next year. We need space. We don't have a lot more money than we already have.
Right.
If we can't get that deal in the building we are, we talk about moving. So this
Right.
could be something to talk about in December, January.
Just to clarify, I wasn't calling it a worst case scenario, Zach was. Just from the standpoint, he's dreaming of a larger complex, and I'm just reining it in. And I actually ran into a lot of resistance from him when I even floated the idea that we ought to be considering the option of doing it at PCA. So I agree with you, I don't think it's a worst case. I was talking about it from his perspective.
Why are we looking at needing to, or entertaining entertaining the idea of splitting the transmitter in the studio into different locations?
Well, it has to do partly with where the ideal spot for
Sure.
transmission would be, but Zach really feels like it could almost be anywhere. His point was, we ought not to limit the studio or transmitter search in terms of them having to be in the same location. So it's
So what links them?
what links.
It's the same laptop that's
Yeah.
linking your radio station.
So you record it and then run it over to the transmitter and air it?
No, I don't know what the answer is,
I mean, well, because it occurred to me that is the studio setup very minimal and could be one place 1 month and somewhere else another month if we really had to?
It could if we had to, yeah.
So
It
it's
just sort of depends on what-
quasi-portable?
Mhm.
You guys figured out. Committee. What else?
I'm just curious.
Yeah, me too.
You wanted to move on, that's not being curious.
No, I am curious, but the committee's doing the work, not us.
Well,
Just
he
bring
can-
us the
he can help.
recommendations.
I'm quizzing him to make sure.
Me and Eric wanna go home.
Well, not together.
See, you've extended really bad habits over here.
Exactly. No.
Blame it on the Barcelona.
Jason, did you want to bring that up next month? Again?
I'm sure we'll have another,
Yeah.
yeah,
We
follow
should,
up
cause
next
we'll
month.
be curious.
Pretty sure we
Thank
do.
you.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Hmm.
We should know by next month whether it's gonna be August or October then.
Mhm.
Hopefully.
And
Or
do you-
not August.
Excuse me. Do you have the date when you met?
Your meeting date.
Your Dempsey's meeting.
Yeah, I could get it for you, let's see. It's like 2 weeks ago or something.
Two grounds ago.
So just to throw that question again, let's say everything moves along at the anticipated rate with the FM station. When do you foresee the possibility of us going live that first day of broadcast?
I don't know, I mean, it depends on, we're not at the stage of, assigning calendars, schedules,
Okay.
content. Although Zach is not worried about that, he said we already have enough content and enough producers that could step up, but we haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay.
But in theory, we, on day one.
And that
we
could
would
also be immediately streamed on the internet as well.
Simulcast.
Simultaneous. Okay.
Listen in both ears.
Should we move on, Madam Chair?
Yes, let's move on. Matt, we're done with FM unless you have something else.
No, thank you, I appreciate it, step out for a
Okay.
second.
Okay, no action on item number 2 in old business, so let's go back to item 1, which is the PCA presence at Rivertown Festival. John?
I've made no headway on that. I mean, it's really a tabling opportunity. That's what it is.
Well, we did have a subcommittee.
Like graduation.
I don't know if I would call it a meeting, but conversation around it, and this was Neil.
Informal, yeah.
Yeah, informal, Neil, Matt, and Cindy and I. And the idea that we came up with in the recommendation, we'd like to give you, John, is that, in addition to having that table presence there, which we think is a great idea, is just setting up a camera, and then getting people to come on over and explaining into the camera what they love about Petaluma. And then using that video for promos for both PCA and Petaluma when you need bumpers for shows and stuff like that. It's just people talking about how great a town Petaluma is. And so we booster the town, booster PCA, and get some nice content for additional things. And maybe that's even the kind of stuff that we can do in movies in the park. 4 or 5 minutes of just people saying, hey, what a great town Petaluma is, and why they love it so much. And, you might
Good
want.
marketing.
Yeah, might need, waivers from them or, to just sign a document.
We did that at the fair last year.
Yeah. Right.
And what we did was we had them on the camera
Great.
give permission to use their image and give their name and
Uh-huh.
spelling, so we got it all.
And did we use it? Did we
We
use it?
didn't, we got three people.
You got 3, so I think at Rivertown, you probably can get
Rivertown is a
more,
much
because
better
it's a
venue.
much
That's
more
why we're not
of a
there.
booster, venue for Petaluma. So, that's our recommendation from the subcommittee, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, the staff will certainly take care of the camera work. Is the
Mhm.
board willing to take care of the table?
I'm out of town.
I am out of town that week too.
Yeah, I
weekend,
think
so
we
it's-
established
and
at
I've
the
got-
last
it's really-
meeting that the
yeah.
wrong date kind of.
Yeah. We were available when it was on the other
Yeah,
date
it's
that
on
we
the
thought it
wrong
was,
day.
But that was last year.
Um,
What are you
So,
That is the stumbling block, because what I'm looking at now is fielding crews to go out and do the video. So people in PCA t-shirts while you're on cameras
Right.
would be probably more effective.
or it probably could be, but if you're understaffed, perhaps it's just a station at the table then, or an area just right off the table that allows people to come
There's also possibly partnering with someone else who's already committed to a table.
Yeah, I haven't begun the
I mean,
process
I know-
of getting a table, so I don't even know how it works.
I know of a few that'll be there, so it's possible we could coordinate.
Can you nail a table down for us?
I think I can if a few people that I suspect are gonna be there will be. We should talk about it offline.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so no
Great.
action on item 1, are we done?
No action needed, yeah.
We'll move to new business, item 3, selection of a subcommittee for the Luminarian Awards.
All right. We're up again.
Well, we had.
I was on it last time.
Right,
We're running out of board members, so.
yeah.
I
Well, we did have that meeting, which unfortunately you weren't able to.
That's right.
To meet with Marcel and John. Marcel, do you have any thoughts from that meeting that you wanna share?
Well, we've already determined that October 4th would be the date of the ceremony, correct?
Is that what we've decided?
Because that was a members' meeting. That's
Yes.
the format in which we did
Mhm.
last year. We made the announcement of the winners
Yeah,
of
it
the
was
election
very
and then
effective.
had the awards ceremony.
Right.
It was a members' meeting.
So I missed the meeting that you guys were at, but was there generally the sense that what we did last time worked well?
We didn't take any action,
Yeah.
but
Because that makes it easier.
the last year was very successful, and we didn't decide if we were gonna do it. We were gonna decide this with the subcommittee.
Right. John had some thoughts and concerns on that
Yeah, I
as
have
well.
some serious concerns about how the actual voting was run last year.
Mm.
And because we went through a process, a very extensive process of being correct with the sweepstakes, we've set the bar higher.
Okay.
Actually, I had Kate prepare a list of thoughts. It's for discussion, I haven't really vetted them all.
Okay.
What we had last year was basically a system where anybody could go online and vote for the show they wanted to vote for.
Mhm.
And they could vote 500 times a day, every day of the week.
Mhm.
And some of them did.
Yeah.
And those that didn't, I think, were disappointed.
Right.
And I think we need to play more open, fair, with a much more rigorous kind of system. And Kate's ideas basically are, the general ideas are, they're very good, I think, and she's taken some time to think it through with a calendar. The basic idea is we need to have nominated selections for the final vote. Now, how do we get the nominations is a question. If we had nominations for the vote, we could put them online and people could actually go there at will and watch their choices and then pick out of that the best. Kate was recommending a single viewer's choice open to any, because she thinks a jury would be better. Most contests of this nature are jury with a criteria that is justified. But that jury shouldn't be a board member or a staff member because that's going to complicate our relationships with our members. So this is the thought process to take the voting procedures to another level, which I think is essential.
Well, I disagree with that, and John and I talked about this already. I thought one of the reasons why the Luminarian Awards were successful last year was because of the voting system, which prompted or encouraged producer members to go out and get people to come onto the website, which was the whole idea. This is a viewer's choice award, and the whole concept of it was to bring people to PCA and have those people that have programs go out there and evangelize for us. And if we have a juried award, we lose all of that. And then we just have a select group that is selecting things, and I don't think you're gonna get the enthusiasm, which we saw in person during our members meeting last year, where we had over 100 people that were very excited and cake and balloons, and it was probably the most enthusiastic group I have ever seen around PCA, and I would hate to lose that, and I think we would if we'd have a jury meeting. So my suggestion would be, these all look like fantastic suggestions and worthy thoughts. I think we should probably take these back into a subcommittee meeting, because it shouldn't, this is more detail than the board should have to do right here. Yes, sir.
I have two comments. One, could we make the voting via Facebook?
We could do that probably, sure.
That's
And that limits the people, the control from
Uh-huh.
500 a day and the popularity. And two, can we add a category for best radio show?
Oh, very good. Yeah, and I think to answer John's concern about 500 people voting a day, I think we can get it to the point where it's just one vote per valid email.
Right.
And most people have 2 or 3 valid emails. They vote 2 or 3 times. That's the way it is. But they just can't come up there and do voting in that type of scenario anymore. And I think that is the kind of change that I think might help allay some of your concerns, John, without going to, it seems to me like a suffocating effect of creating a jury and a jury pool and making it all much more a state, when in fact the idea is to promote this through the members themselves, the producer members. So, but nice points. Anything else?
No. Because you can you can put the voting on the Facebook homepage, and that we still get our point out. We still get our weekly updates. Make sure you check out these shows, which they put on Facebook.
Right, exactly.
Well, I'm fine with that, but this does come back then to, this is a board project. You decide how it's gonna be run, and our staff will execute it. We provide the support. So you really do need to put that plan on paper and say, this is what we run with.
Great. Well, I think that sounds wonderful, and that's the reason why we invited Kate to the subcommittee meeting. And I know you didn't want her to be there, but now I think it's fantastic if she did come to these meetings and we start working with her so that these things can be put into play fairly quickly. So
Okay.
I'm happy to meet in the
She
next couple
able-
days with her
Yeah,
and get moving on this. And I'd love to go over these suggestions here, because I know in here there's a lot of good stuff, and the concerns are all valid, but it's just a matter of melding the two philosophies and finding something that works.
Some of these are great ideas that we actually discussed the last time we did
Yeah.
it, but they weren't feasible.
Right.
So it'd be good to go through all of them and see if anything has changed. I remember specifically suggesting that they be uploaded. And
Shows
that was,
be uploaded.
and that got shot down, I believe, by Thomas because of the resources involved
Right.
at the time, but maybe that's changed.
Well, no, you have to factor in the resources.
Yeah.
They're still the same.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's working within the
Yeah.
envelope.
As far as voting and online surveys and things like that, almost all of them can be hacked. You see it all the time with crazy polls in the papers and things. So there are some things you can do to make it more difficult, but anyone who's somewhat savvy, if they want to, most of those things can be doctored. But I do agree with your point as well about the enthusiasm that it brought, because I remember when we had those meetings, and John wasn't at the subcommittee meetings that we were at, so he might not have gone through the same process we did to arrive at it, but I do agree that it made a lot of sense to have the producers so motivated to reach out and get their audience members to vote. But yeah, I mean, I see both sides. I think, yes, we should have a subcommittee meet on this. We should go through all these points and figure out the best way to proceed and put it all down. So I'd be happy to be on it again.
Fantastic, that would be lovely. And Marcel, did you have any thoughts or comments that you wanted to?
No,
No.
I was thinking, I would have liked to see a panel of judges to judge the video, but as I say, it's a viewer's choice, so that wouldn't work out.
Well, we can also continue this conversation in subcommittee with
There's also a lot of hybrid options. I mean, there could be one category where there is a jury, or however you want to phrase it.
Or we could do something like a jury for best of show, so to speak. So there's a viewer choice, and then there's a jury that actually picks the one show that we feel hits all the points that are necessary to be a great show on PCA.
Yeah, you could do a staff choice and a producer's choice.
Yeah.
That's an interesting idea. Yeah, right?
No,
Very interesting.
I have to say no. I don't want my staff saying, I like this show better than that, because the one that didn't get it.
Yeah, that's true.
Sure.
No, you're right.
Makes sense. Okay.
Sorry, Tim.
So in terms of.
Okay, you don't get to vote.
Well, and it's also, there's something to be said the same level for a board. You know, that's why when you throw it off to, hey, it was the viewers, I mean, there's no responsibility. We're not hurting anyone's feelings, it's the viewers.
I spent some time online looking at other contests, and there was a very interesting one back east called the No Film Film Festival. And they had a very nice online award ceremony, all dressed in black. They were the Blues Brothers.
Oh, nice.
And it was a jury contest. It was out to, they actually had the city manager who was deeply involved. And they had two gentlemen who were not on staff or on the board who actually ran it. They called in the contestants, or they put out a call saying, here are 5 feature films, do a parody. So they generated content based around this idea. And
That's fun.
they had a nice turnout. There are different configurations to play with.
Yeah, we should look at those. If you want us, if there's some links or something.
I can send the links around, yeah. The agenda item though is to select the subcommittee to
Yes.
make the decisions.
Before we do that, John, I just wanted to ask you a question if I may, because you brought up the subject of staff resources. And I just want to get a report from you on the resources that you have and to make sure and ensure that we have adequate resources from this so that when we start doing the work of putting together plans and ideas, that the manpower, the human power that's going to be necessary to execute them will be there.
Well, it depends what you're asking. Last year we set up the system for tallying the votes, for people to go online and then we got a tally. Thomas invested a lot in the programming. Kate invested a lot in the party, setting up the party and publicizing it. It's a strength, I'll be honest. It's a strength because we got the election. Adnan is tied up with the election.
Is there another time that we should, I mean, would it make sense to do it at a different time other than around the election?
No, I think that's the strongest argument for it is
Okay.
that it generated great energy for the annual meeting.
Well, it sounds like we're gonna have to consult with you or staff as we're meeting and deciding how to go forward, because we obviously don't wanna come up with ideas that we can't execute, right?
Yeah, and we have to weigh the ideas, and last year was an outside project, basically. It wasn't a PCA project. Thomas took it on as his off time.
Yeah.
So that's how it happened. And I would resist having it become an annual PCA obligation for the staff to do. You know, we're here to have your media ideas come true, and we have the resources, and we mentor, support, and give you the equipment. This needs a driving force that makes the decision. I mean, it's the same thing that played in the Butter and Eggs Day Parade. You need a committee that says this is what we're going to do, and then the staff supports that happening.
Well, Butter and Eggs is more of a marketing project where I kind of see this as being recognition. It's a members meeting.
Yeah.
It is their meeting. I mean, they're paying dues. We got to give them their meeting, and it should be good. I liked what we did last year, and I think they did too. So
It's an honor to be nominated for something we did.
So we gotta do this.
Well, that's
If
why
we were to give up one or the other, I would say I would rather give up the Butter and Eggs Day Parade and not do this.
I mean, I guess what I was kind of prefacing it when I asked, were there things that you want to do differently, but versus the last time we did it, but it sounds like even that was a stretch. So is it fair to say that we can't really count on the resources we had last time to do it the way that we did it, that we do it this time?
Well, if you folks are not disturbed by the lightness of the structure for the voting. I mean, when you say this is a viewer's choice,
Yeah,
okay, this is the show that got the most votes.
right.
Does it carry a real level of quality or acknowledgement? I mean, it's fun. And I'm not against that kind of celebration of our members.
Right.
Trophies, they love the trophies, so it is fun. I guess it's just how you frame it, how we present it to the people. If it's not a very rigorous accomplishment to win, then it doesn't carry the same cachet. If it's a party to celebrate, then the pressure's off and we don't have to worry so much about being legal. I mean, we're not giving away prizes, or are we? Because when you start giving away prizes as a public nonprofit, you have some constraints, and that's what we got into with the sweepstakes.
Well,
Well,
we're giving away prizes as much as we're just giving away recognition.
it's basically a popularity contest.
Yeah.
How is it any different than an election?
Well, it's very different from an election because there's no consequence from the outcome for one. It's
Well, but I meant in
Yeah.
terms of the process, people are voting and every candidate
Right.
has to put out their message to get their supporters to vote for
right.
them.
It's no different than the
Oh, 'cause they're
People's
voting
Choice
twice.
that happens in the Press Democrat every
Right.
year. You know, what's your favorite pizza place? What's your favorite coffee place? What's your favorite movies? You know, that kind of thing. And that's the idea here, is that you get people to generate interest
Yeah.
in it. That's
Well, maybe the middle ground would be to fine tune the system that we use so that it at least limits one vote per IP address or something like that. There are ways you can do that.
That could be built into the system.
And that wouldn't take a lot more, just
Mhm.
using a different system. And didn't he use SurveyMonkey? Is that what he used last time?
I think Thomas did use SurveyMonkey, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it was
but it worked out. You know.
I think that's fairly easy. It's built into the
Yeah.
software that we use to get the votes.
Yeah.
And publicizing it. I think where there was a real challenge in the voting last year was there was no categories. We let them pick the category they wanted to be in. And we got votes for West Side Stories as a religious show. So I think a stronger sense of the categories, and
Mm.
I'd almost say,
Oh, did we do that? Did we let
Well,
them
I think
just?
what happened is we did not list the programs themselves, so.
Right.
Which is a good point. I mean,
Yeah.
now we could go back and say, well, what were the programs over the past year
Mhm.
that we had there that were new, and then put them into
Put them in the
categories, and
category.
then have people come and
so
vote for them.
people would get a ballot, more or less, that said, these are the eligible.
Right.
The nominees are.
The nominees are in each category, right.
It's more like the Oscars. They don't give nominees. They just give you every film that was
Yeah.
released that year. You got 10
Right,
pages,
right,
and you
right,
got
right.
all these checkoffs.
Well, these are the things that should be, that can be decided in subcommittee here. But I think the key is, and this is the question, is that, because I do feel some resistance from you, that this is gonna take, as we talked about, it will take some staff focus on this, and, can we depend on that staff? Because the last thing we wanna do is put it all together and then not have it work because we don't have the resources to execute
Right.
properly.
I think the answer to this, can you depend on the staff? I think it depends on what it is. I wouldn't want to commit my staff unless I knew what it was.
Right. I think we have a fair idea of
Right.
what it is. It's about what happened
Yeah.
last year with some new direction and tweaks.
Yeah.
So, John is fairly, clear about what that required last year, and maybe even a little less, because there was a lot of investigation that had to go into, surveys and all that kind of stuff.
I have a suggestion, unless it's already been made. Has anyone approached Thomas yet? Is he not?
We both did.
Oh, is he not
Well, I
interested?
didn't approach him.
You did.
No, I mean, I talked to him about it, but I did not. I mean,
I asked him,
Well-
you want to do this again? And
He said
he
no.
said no. But last year, he was doing it off the clock. That has to be
Okay,
understood.
so this here, what I think should happen so that everybody's clear and we don't have multiple agendas going here, which is what I think kind of happened with butter and eggs, is that the subcommittee meets, puts together the plan, the business plan, the communication plan. We make it very clear what the expectations are. We ask staff to help us with this, and, whoever else is available here should do that as well. And it should work. Does that sound simple enough?
It sounds simple, yes, I mean, I think that's wonderful, and I think that's exactly the way to go. I just wanna, make sure that, I mean, either Thomas will have to be on clock this time, because I agree with you, it shouldn't be off the clock for him, or someone has to step in and do that work that Thomas did last year, in addition to the additional work that has to be done.
Right.
And so my question again is, are those resources available?
Right.
They're available. My resistance is when you start putting it on the clock, you are reducing the resources that I could direct towards getting new young students. I really want to attack the student youth use of PCA. That's one of my priorities. And I can see that if we're devoting it into this, it's not going to happen between now and September.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to have it in place to work. But that's my choice. I take direction from the board. But that's my resistance. It's not that we can't do it, but that we can't do something else if we do that.
Right.
And for me, the priority would be to get new members in and get new people touching cameras, rather than give a trophy to somebody who's already doing it and enjoying it. That's just a priority of mine, and I'm not invested in it.
What took the most time? What do you see is taking the most time?
Organizing the survey and stuff.
Organizing the survey, tallying the votes, and then programming. Well, the programming is normal, that's not hard. We've got a different programming system now that could put a wrinkle into it. But it was setting up the system and monitoring it. Everything else was fairly normal. I mean, it went right through the promotional arm very well. I mean, look at the people that came out. And we did put on a good party. Marcel helped.
I think it gave us a ton of press too. It was a lot of good publicity. It was in all the local papers. I think it created a nice buzz. So.
But I think if you follow Eric's recommendation there, that we don't worry about the jury level of a contest value, then the pressure's off. We just have a good time with it.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking, is that seemed to work pretty well. I didn't hear, I mean, maybe I just didn't hear it. Were there complaints from people about the way the contest went?
I witnessed 2 people who didn't win, and their disappointment was palpable. Because I think they really thought that there was some validity to the process. And they didn't understand that they could have gamed the game the way the others did, which is legitimate. It was, we didn't say they couldn't do it.
Right.
And that was that networking. I mean, it happens with the Bohemian Viewers'
Happens with
Choice.
anything.
You get emails saying, I'm on it, vote for me. And they kept voting over and over again. So,
And I think that's a legitimate concern. I think that can be handled by letting people know beforehand, before that night of the anticipatory, award ceremony, that, it went to someone else, so they don't go there with that hope in hand. And that's, certainly that's a legitimate concern that I'd like to address as well.
I like the idea that last time, were we even requesting email addresses for the survey?
I don't know, but we probably should.
Because that's a great way
right,
to get
great
more
way to
email
get more email addresses, right.
Or Facebook, either one.
Or, right, like us on Facebook.
Like us to vote and go out on the homepage.
But that also makes it more legit, because you could seriously limit it to individual email.
Yeah, that's something we would have to do, is figure out how to limit it to other, your Facebook friend or a legitimate email in that way. Anyway, so those seem like subcommittee items.
So who wants to be on the subcommittee?
Well, I'd love.
We already have it.
Do we have it?
Right?
I think we have it. Marcella,
No, it's
you?
not, yeah, there's an outreach committee, but we don't have a subcommittee for the specific.
For the luminary.
Luminary. So that's what we're supposed to do tonight.
Right, that's why
Okay.
I asked it.
Well, I got an email from Eric on that, when he was polling for ideas. Was that the
Well,
same
I
thing?
thought we had talked, but it seemed like it was gonna be Jason, Marcel, and.
I think that was just an
Marcel.
outreach.
That was just an
committee
outreach
meeting
committee
on the
Was
top.
it?
The outreach.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
But it's not a subcommittee.
Because I'm not on
It's not a
outreach and I got
subcommittee,
polled,
okay.
so I didn't know how that happened, okay.
And I won't be here for the event, and I don't know if I should be on the subcommittee.
well,
Someone throw me a bone, I'm not gonna be the only one on this.
well, I'll be on there.
I'm always available to
So,
stuff.
okay, so would you be interested, it could be Cindy, yourself, and I. You'd be okay with that?
And I'm gonna kneel.
We had 3 last time.
Yeah, And we won't ask Tim. And Matt's
Okay.
busy doing other important work.
Well, it's just the time of year just gets busy again.
Yeah,
Once
yeah.
again, it's like late August,
Right.
beginning of September, I get crazy.
Right. So, and Jason, how would you feel about being the chair of that subcommittee this year?
It's fine.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
You're gonna be my vice chair?
I'd be happy to be your, I'll be your anything, Jason.
All right, so that
Uh,
means I have to
whoa,
organize
yeah.
when we're gonna.
Yeah, we should probably do it fairly, like, maybe Friday or something, if that's possible.
Okay, do you wanna do like a morning at Aquas or something?
I could do afternoon Friday, or morning Thursday, that's those are,
Let's do morning. How early?
like 9 or something.
Kate starts at like 12, so
She starts at
afternoon
12.
would be easier for Kate. But she can
Yeah.
come in early, we can work out her.
Okay.
We'll work it off offline,
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah. All right, thank you.
So no action.
Oh, no, actually,
No, we
actually has been,
appointed a subcommittee.
subcommittee has been.
Subcommittee has been appointed.
Do we need to vote on it? I think
I
it's
don't
pretty
think
much
so.
voluntary,
Yeah.
right? All right. Okay.
All right.
Item 4 under new business, the 2012 board election. That's the, did we already vote on the elections inspector? Or is that?
No, I don't believe we voted on the election inspector, we had Jude Meon offer to do
Right,
it.
right. But
Yeah.
we need to officially vote on that tonight.
Or appoint.
Um,
Have you checked with her, confirmed her?
Yes.
Yes, great.
Yes, she's still on for that. And you know what, she might even wanna work on the Luminaria
Oh, cool.
because she does catering and stuff. She
Oh.
loves that stuff. Does that out of her home.
We have to pick a site too.
Yeah.
Well, I had a different vision for the annual members meeting, I wanted to have
Lagunitas.
a party,
Lagunitas would
a
be
party at
awesome.
Lagunitas with live
Yeah.
music.
That's what I
But that's a
thought.
different plan.
Well, that was what I had thought too. When last year when we debriefed, we had said a venue like that would
Would be
really.
fun.
Would,
That'd be awesome.
Be
Have
great
music.
fun.
yeah,
It would reach a different demographic,
Exactly,
and it could
yeah.
be a fundraiser.
plenty of parking.
And it's a celebration, because I think a lot of people have held their breath for PCA, and that's something that
Yes.
we've proven that we can keep. it
And they
on.
also don't charge for the space,
Weren't you gonna check
Well,
on the event?
why couldn't we
They
do
would
it?
charge.
not for a benefit, not at Lagunitas.
And then he wouldn't have to give us,
In fact,
pony
even
cakes.
better, you get the proceeds of the beer sales. I just did one of these for,
Okay,
Well,
we
that
digress
really can
here.
be- We will pick a venue and we will figure out how to do it.
Well, that was gonna be
Awesome.
what I was gonna suggest anyway.
Is what?
Oh, yeah, but.
Lagunitas.
Oh,
Still, it's such a big pile, I still can't.
Okay, on the elections,
Use it.
we need a nomination for the elections inspector. Does anyone wanna nominate Jude Beyond?
I don't know her, but I'm sure she's great.
I will nominate Jude Mion. You all met her at, what meeting was it that we
It
were at?
was the raffle
Oh, the
meeting.
raffle meeting, yeah. Yes, that was when she volunteered to do that. So, background on Jude. Jude has a history with PCA. She was at one time on the board for a few years. And a couple of those years, at least 2 or 3 of those years, she was the board board treasurer. She was the treasurer. And,
Yes.
she,
I
yeah,
second that motion.
yeah, I don't know what else to tell you, but that she
She's
does
good.
have a
She's great.
relationship and is familiar with our bylaws and
Good.
processes, so.
Sounds perfect.
Okay, so I've made the motion and you seconded.
Yep.
Eric second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, do we have any other nominations, or if we do, we have to have 3 inspectors? And it's
Yeah,
my
one is-
opinion that we
Very
have our
good.
hands full with just recruiting one. I don't believe we could, I don't have anyone
Well,
else.
Rachel
Okay.
did it last year, she'll probably do
Yeah.
it again, but I think Tim comes, every year Tim has come to kind of
Right.
supervise or oversee.
She wanted to move the agenda.
I think
down
we
for
all
this
agree that
next
one
time.
is plenty.
One is plenty.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's been our past practice.
sorry.
And I
Okay.
still will.
He
Yeah, if we got Rachel, then we'd have to find another person, because it's gonna be 1 or 3.
All right, moving right
Okay, we
along.
got that.
Okay,
Yeah.
item number 5, under new business, the MOU with the Cultural Arts Council of Sonoma County for Arts ID Media.
So did you all get a copy of the MOU, which is a draft? We voice our interest in being in it, and as soon as there are enough potential partners, the final version will be sent out for signatures. I have copies here for anybody who didn't get to look at it on the email version I sent out last week. It's a neat vision. It's a kind of a collaboration engine with a cultural identity for Sonoma County. John Moran is, what is his exact title? Performing in Music and Literary Arts Director for the Arts Council of Sonoma County. And he's been working on this for a half a year, I believe. It's an alliance of independent operations. The ones named here were the Access Station in Santa Rosa, the Bohemian, KRCB, a number of groups. And it would set up an umbrella identity and aegis that we could use for promotion. There's really no risk involved. I mean, we would get our logo involved in a lot of other projects. The way he broke it down for me is, as soon as he finds enough support to really go to the next step, it would start with a meeting of the executive committee, which would be a representative from each partner. The Arts Council is setting themselves up as the administrative branch, and they have a clause in there for 5% of the money raised would go for administrative costs. He's hoping to create a separate website to co-promote. I tried to get a sense of whether this was like a body that you would take a proposal to, and he said, no, it's really just if you worked with somebody else, if you collaborated with somebody else, you could use the resources of this group to promote. So I think it's a win-win situation. I'd like to support it. He was very clear that there was no loss of independence of the different elements participating, and it was just trying to shape a common vision. And it's kind of one of those situations where if you get 5 people in a room, new ideas start bouncing off and things happen. So it's a way to bring people together to see how we can maximize our regional identity to lift the cultural level of the county. And I was pleased to get this offer. That's basically my notes. Hey, you met him, I think it started back.
I know, yeah, I know John. John is interested in gathering all sorts of communities that are involved in performing arts, media arts, and creating a larger pool of talent and capabilities, and I think this is exactly what's happening here, so, yeah.
I'd like to, I like the idea. I'd like to see some additional explanation in the agreement, as far as, what the expectations are of programming, so that we ourselves aren't found to be in default of not participating in the right way for programming, even though it's not necessarily established here. And then the second thing is would the board or anybody the board supports from the organization, would we be able to put them on their board? Since we'd be one of their, the same thing I think that the community media back in North Bay should be able to do and that kind of stuff. So to give them directions, huh?
I'm not sure I'm clear on either of them.
So they're a nonprofit, so they should be having some type of board structure. Would they be open to letting us appoint one of our members to their board to help shape the direction and content they go to develop things?
That's what he said, yeah, 1 member from each.
I didn't read that in here.
It's not on the, he's taking it to the board level. This would have an executive committee which would meet regularly. It would probably be me. And it would be more to just utilize the connectivity that this creates. I would be sitting down with somebody from KRCB and somebody from Community Media Center, and the film festival idea could go countywide. So, things can happen in that context. I think there are no obligations connected. I don't know what you mean by programming. We're not obligated to put any of this on our air. I mean, if something, this generated some video, I would say, walk it in and submit it. You don't even have to be a member to submit. So there's no obligation in that. I did look through it twice, and for exactly that, what am I getting us into, and we're gonna get bid on this. I didn't see anything that was cornering us into an obligation.
I didn't see anything that clearly got us, that defined it either.
Yeah, that's true too.
So
That's leading into intense conversation.
My angle was kind of like Matt's, was I didn't see anything that, I don't want to say guaranteed, but, you know, clarified independence.
Right.
That there was any programming commitments or programming opportunities.
There needs to be some sort
I
of
thought
disclaimer.
it touched on the programming opportunities, and then also the staff commitment was the fourth thing I was worried about.
Can you go through those again?
Can we talk faster?
Again.
Clarified our independence, or independence clarification. Are we making any commitments of programming or programming time? Are we getting programming content, which sounds like probably, and are we committing staff to something they're not already doing?
Okay, well, I took the independence I took to him, and the commitment I took to him on the phone. What you're saying is it's not in this document.
Yeah.
It's not clear.
Okay.
So it should
There
be
was a
like
lot of stuff in there, and I just didn't get the sense after I finished it that that was really well covered.
Too open-ended to commit solidly to yet. You know, we support, I like the
Yeah.
concept.
Supported principle.
Sounds like a pretty good idea, and I would support it in principle as long as my principles aren't violated.
There just has to be like a, you know, nothing in this agreement obligates PCA to
Yeah,
da-da-da-da.
that kind of stuff.
Just sort of a catch-all
It was,
disclaimer.
it was,
at the
it
end.
was an interesting collection of paragraphs.
Yeah.
So and those were my concerns.
Okay, I'll take that back to him.
I love the idea of collaboration though, so. And if all we're doing really is committing, you know, you or somebody up there for a couple of meetings a month or once a week. And you know, we,
Once a month.
huh, once a
Or
month.
once a month, that's
Yeah.
my sense of what we're.
Yeah.
And like you say, you get in a room with 5 other guys and it does get pretty animated.
I like the idea of it leading to some more programming for PCA potentially too.
Potential, the potential content,
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah, the feeling I got from him on the phone that there's a lot of, if you build it, they will come
Mhm.
in this.
And
he's looking for a structure that gives him a footing to get grants, to get commitment, so he knows that he's not just playing solitaire.
we need also termination clause.
Right.
Termination.
No, I think
so.
I think there is one in there.
There is one in there.
There was, okay.
Yeah.
It's written notice, 30 days written notice, or renewed in 2015.
Yeah, and I'll just be frank, what really got my attention was the
Membership
Bohemian.
fees.
If there was an official relationship between PCA and the Bohemian, that could only profit us.
Right. My
Collaboration
understanding,
profits.
in talking with John Moran, is that basically he's looking to just create like an ecosystem
Mhm.
of you know, arts partners of Sonoma County.
That's cool.
And that's a wonderful thing to do.
Does he or any of his immediate cronies or contacts have any experience in organizing things?
I think they all come from the county and have all done art stuff, and they do a great fundraiser
I
over
wasn't
here
thinking
at
art
Sonoma
stuff, I
Arts.
was thinking business-wise.
Oh, I don't know. My sense is.
They're not always
yes.
mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
However.
Well, I have direction now to take back and say that the document itself is not clear enough for us to sign as is. And,
Just an off the hook.
yeah.
So bring it back next.
Yes.
Well, it'll definitely come back. I will go back to him with where we love the idea in principle. We want
Yeah.
to just be a little more clear about the piece of paper we're signing.
Mhm, right.
We like the idea, but.
Yeah.
Great.
But
Thanks.
is but. And is what you say is the sales guy.
Yeah.
Okay,
They sold too.
Do you want somebody to
we
sign?
only have one item left on our agenda, and that's a closed session item on a personnel issue. So we will adjourn to closed session now.
Kick out all the audience.
Yep. And